Good day, flight simmers. Today we're going to try a flight in the King Air 350i Beechcraft turboprop. It's an $8 million plane, executive type plane, beautiful plane to fly, beautifully rendered in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're going to fly from Port Williams Airport in Argentina, and we are going to fly to the southernmost tip of South America, and we are going to fly into Ushuaia Airport. It's a small resort town on a windswept hill. It's known as the end of the world. It's a famous little town and a spot where cruise ships depart for cruises in Antarctica. So let's take a look at the world map to create a flight plan. Now, I'm just going to back off so you can see where we are here. So, way down in South America, there we go, Ushuaia, and here's the airport, Port Williams, that we'll take off from. So it's a fairly short flight, and we are going to be using air traffic control, and we're going to be doing an ISL landing using Autopilot. So let's click on here and set it as our departure, and you can see we're taking off from there, that end of the runway 26. Okay, so let's back off and go to airport here. We're going to go to this one and click arrival. So there's a direct route using GPS, but we're going to use instrument flight rules, low altitude. We've got some mountains to deal with here. So you can see we have a couple other waypoints here. I'm just going to pick a runway. I'm going to ILS 2525-3 runway. And once I do that, you can see we now have a flight plan using the ILS frequency for our approach. So we're going to do a approach landing using our instruments. Let's just take a look at our nav log here. You can see they're telling us to go to 6,500, then 5,700, then 5,700, and then we have to descend in here. So that's what we'll go to, and right around here I'm going to hit see if we can pick up the localizer, and we'll hit approach and see if we can pick up the glide slope coming into the runway. Alrighty, and we're ready to fly. So we're going to take a look at the airplane, see how well it's rendered in Microsoft Flight Sim, and also see how the airports are. It's always fun to see how the graphics are and how beautifully they've done it in the different airports around the world. We're just waiting for this to load. So here we go.
Ready for departure, runway 26 IFR to Ushuaia. King Air 107, altimeter 29er.62, wind 248 at 1 tree.
So this looks beautiful.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 26.
So we're cleared for takeoff, runway 26.
Runway 26, King Air 107.
So we've got the co-pilot handling the audio communications with air traffic control, so that's in settings. You don't have to do that yourself. So I'm just going to let this plane roll out here so you can get a look at how well it's rendered in Microsoft Flight Sim. It's a beautiful plane. Nice turboprop with lots of power. And we'll just roll out onto the runway, and then we'll make some adjustments once we get inside the plane. So he's turning it around, doing a pretty good job. I'll just let the plane roll up to this spot here, and then we'll hit ready to fly and go inside. Okay, we're good to go. So right now, right off the bat, we've got a warning here. I'm just going to turn that off. That is that our parking brake is on, also notifying us that the autopilot's not on. So there's your barometric pressure right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is set that by hitting B on my keyboard. And you can see it changed. So that affects your altitude. So you want to do that. This is live weather in real time at this time of year in this location on the globe. So you're going to have barometric pressure that you're going to have to keep an eye on. There's our GPS flight plan that we filed. So you want to make sure that you have things on GPS. So first thing I'm going to do is go here, and it's a touch screen. So I'm going to tap that little airplane right there, and you want to have that on GPS. Okay, you don't want to have it on VOR. Have it on GPS so it follows the GPS route. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to audio, and I'm going to click on nav1 so that when we get within range of the airport, it's going to start giving us a little beep when we pick up the localizer coming off the runway. So we'll pick up that frequency, and we'll know that the plane should automatically maybe change to LOC1. If it doesn't, we'll hit approach and see if that happens. But we're going to hit approach when we get close anyway. So now the elevation is something I want to change right off the bat. So I think we'll set that for 6,000. So I'm going to have to hit Control 2 on my keyboard and back off a bit here, so you can still see that now. Let's just go up to 6,500, and we'll see what ATC tells us when we get up there. But we got some mountains to climb over on our way, and I think in our nav log it said 6,500. Okay, let's go back here again. So this is your primary screen, and it tells you your waypoints, your distance, your estimated time to get there, your ground speed. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this again one more time and then hit split screen. So this is how you can look at your flight plan. So the active flight plan, there it is right there. It's your origin and your waypoints, and you can grab that and just drag it down. There's your destination, and you can see approach will be an ILS runway 25-3, and there's your elevation 60. When we go into this waypoint, 6,500 feet, and then we're going to be dropping to 5,700. And there's the runway right there, runway 25, and its elevation, altitude is 123 feet above sea level. Okay, so I'm going to hit that again, go back here, and go back to map. That'll put us right here again. So that's how you move around. Now the other thing I want to check is runway 25. Let's go to Google and get flightplandatabase.com. So around the world it's got the various airports and the ICAO codes. So we know the ICAO code is that we're flying to is Sierra Alpha Whiskey Hotel. So you just do search, and there's the airport. That's the right one. So now we're going to look at runway 25. The localizer ILS frequency is 111.30 megahertz. So write that down. Now we're going to go back here, and we are going to go to flight plan. And we're going to hit nav1 frequency. You see, sometimes the right frequency has been entered by Microsoft Flight Sim on most of the planes, but on this one usually not. We just have to change that. 11130, and then hit transfer. Now that's the active frequency. So now I'm just going to hit this again, make sure it's on GPS, and now go back to my map just by clicking on that. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the map screen. Control 3 will bring that up. So you can drag around just by holding your left mouse button, keeping it held down, and you can drag and push. And you can also zoom in and zoom out. So there's our flight plan. You can see it. So it's going to be a short flight, which is good for just a little tutorial. There's the torque and props, information about your throttle and the readings you're going to get if you get into overspeed or too much torque on your props. Alrighty, I'm going to go Control 2. This is the dash here with the buttons we're going to use. So this is Flight Director, Autopilot, yaw damper, altitude, approach, heading, nav, FLC, vertical speed up or down. There's a VNAV we won't use, and another Flight Director button. Now, we wouldn't use heading unless you get off course and this thing loses its way. You can click the heading button on and scroll it and get it back to your flight plan, and where it'll pick it up. But we shouldn't have to do that. The altitude button will automatically come on when we reach the right altitude, and this button will go off. So you'll see that when we're flying. So once again, there's your barometric pressure. So I'm just going to hit B on the keyboard. Didn't change, so go back down here. So here's your speed gauge and here's your altitude, and you can see we set that. Now we're going to get down below. This is our parking brake, which we're going to release shortly. And there's your landing gear. Let's just go Control 5. So there's your flaps. I can control that using my joystick. So flaps up or down. And the throttle I control with my joystick. This I just manually adjust the props. And also engine conditioner. You can adjust those to get the plane just running the way you like. If you feel you really want to get a little bit more into the authenticity of flying a real plane, some of this stuff is just inoperative. So, alrighty, let's go up above. Control 7, Control 8 will bring us up here. So here's where you can put on your master lights if you want, and this is where you can add a little light with your floodlights. So you can see that coming on. So that's more like for nighttime when you can't see very well. You'll definitely need those on. And you can adjust your displays as well, the brightness. So now I'm going to go Control 1 again, go down here, and let's go Control 4. We'll come back in shortly, but I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to test my joystick, make sure everything looks like it's working fine. We can have a little walk around the plane very quickly, make sure everything looks good. No other planes on the runway, so we're ready to go. So I'm going to go back here inside. I just use my buttons on my joystick, so I have them programmed for autopilot, auto throttle, spoiler, etc. But basically I use the joystick, a mouse, and a keyboard to fly the plane. So you can use your buttons programmed into your joystick, or you can just do them yourself, like clicking up or down. So let's just take off the parking brake. Okay, now I'm going to go up here, see out the window, and we're going to take off. So now we can give it full throttle for takeoff. We don't have the autopilot on right now, so just try and hold it on the center line. It's a little windy, so let's just go outside and have a look. Okay, just gently pull back on the yoke, which is my joystick, And now I can bring up the landing gear. I can press G, or I can go back inside and just use this.
King Air
Bring it up.
107 contact Punta Arenas Center on
So let's just
119er.
bring up the
Good day.
flaps using my joystick. So we're off.
Going to 119er.7 King Air 107.
Control 2 will bring
Punta
this
Arenas
dash
Center
up.
King Air 107 is at 1,300
Flight
feet,
director,
climbing 2,000
autopilot, yaw
feet. King Air
damper,
107
nav,
Punta Arenas, center
vertical
altimeter
speed
29er,
up.
decimal 6 to continue as planned. King Air 107 climb and maintain 6,500 feet. Climb and maintain 6,500 feet, King Air 107.
So just to
King Air
go over that
107
again,
contact Commodore Rivadavia Center
flight director's on,
125.5.
autopilot's on, yaw damper's on,
Going to 125.5 King Air 107.
the nav is on,
Commodore
vertical speed
Rivadavia
is on.
Center, King Air 107 is passing 2,900 feet, climbing 6,500 feet.
King Air 107, Commodore Rivadavia Center altimeter 29er decimal 62 continue as planned.
So you want to keep an eye on your speed. You don't want to get into overspeed. So I'm just going to cut back a little bit on the throttle. And you can see, let's just go inside and see the torque and everything. It's a little high, so control 4. So I can just cut back on the props a little bit. You'll notice a difference in the sound when you do that. The plane doesn't seem to be revving so high. Conditioners are set for us. Okay, let's go back outside and have a look at things. So you can see up here, we have some gauges up here, and this is the compass, and you can see we're following our GPS flight plan quite nicely. See where our altitude is. These gauges I have turned on in settings, so it's kind of nice. You can see your vertical speed. Now when we get to 6,500, the VS will shut off and altitude will take over, and it'll lock on and hold our altitude for us. Alright, you can see our speed is 192 knots, our airspeed. So the plane is turning right now towards the airport we're heading for.
King Air
Ushuaia.
107, contact Ushuaia approach on 118.1.
Okay.
Good day.
So contact Ushuaia approach.
1 King Air 107. Ushuaia approach King Air 107 6,300 feet.
Back inside.
King Air 107 Ushuaia approach altimeter 29er decimal 62 continue as planned.
You know, I'm going to watch to see if the plane picks up the LOC 1. There it goes right there. See, it just locked on to the frequency. And we might start hearing a little beep, beep, beep. So we're going to descend to control 2. And I'm just going to back off here. But we're going to descend to 5,500. Let's go vertical speed down. So we really don't have very far to go.
King Air 107, you are 300 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain 6,500 feet, altimeter 29er decimal 62.
So I'm not going to,
Climb and maintain 6,500 feet, King Air 107.
you know, we're approaching, so we're not going to climb and maintain. That's going to get us up too high. And also I have to watch my airspeed. Don't get up too fast.
King Air 107, you are 16 miles east. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS tree runway 25 approach via MIVIC transition.
Okay, I'm going to
Clear
hit
to MIVIC.
approach now because we're getting close to the airport for
Maintain
landing.
present heading and altitude.
See the
Expect
GS
ILS
just
tree
came
runway
on?
25 approach via MIVIC transition. Clear to MIVIC King Air 107.
Let's take a look here. Make sure we don't get our airspeed too slow. So we should pick up the glide slope very quickly. Yeah, so we're on the glide slope right now. Normally you have to be around 3,000 feet to pick that up, but you can hear the beeping, and the plane is now descending on its own. I'm just going to check the barometric pressure again. Okay, it hasn't changed. So right now the plane is descending, so I'll have to watch my speed. Don't get too slow. And right now the autopilot is guiding us into the runway, and we are locked on the localizer 1, which is going to take us right to the runway. And also we are descending right on the glide slope that we picked up when we hit that approach button.
King Air 107, please expedite your climb 6,500 feet.
So sometimes you get some inaccurate information, I think, from ATC. Like, that doesn't seem to make any sense that you would climb that high when you're approaching the airport. Because when you start descending, if you're at that altitude and you're too close, you are going to pick up so much airspeed that you won't be able, you'll have to abort the landing. So I'm just going to cut back on the throttle a little bit there. Just you want to get down into this white zone here to bring down your landing gear and your flaps. You don't want to be going too fast. Otherwise they might not come down because it depends on the settings you've got. It may say you're going too fast to have them down.
King Air 107, please expedite your climb 6,500 feet.
So when you're on the approach like this and you picked up the glide slope, you don't want to be going up, because you're fighting with the autopilot, which is trying to bring you in on the glide slope. So I'm just going to ignore that. So now I can bring down my landing gear just by pressing G on the keyboard. Notice this wheel comes down first and then this one drops down, so that's probably what actually happens with this aircraft. I'm also going to bring down some flaps, and when you do that, you're creating more drag.
Maintain 5,700 feet.
So with that extra drag, it's going to slow your aircraft down.
5,700 feet, King Air 107.
Okay, so we're just trying to keep them happy.
You are 8 miles east of Ushuaia. Contact Ushuaia Tower on 122.1 when inbound. Tower on 122.1 King Air 107. Ushuaia Tower King Air 107 8 miles east inbound ILS 3 runway 25 approach.
Oh,
King Air 107
beautiful,
Ushuaia
beautiful
Tower.
landscape here.
Altimeter
Gorgeously
29
rendered
64,
in
wind
Microsoft.
260 at 6.
I mean, it's just absolutely
Cleared ILS
fabulous. The
3
plane
runway
looks
25
terrific.
approach.
So we're cleared to land.
Cleared
We finally
ILS 3
given up
runway 25
trying to get us to
King Air
climb.
107.
But look at this beautiful mountains rendered. There's the runway right there. So we're descending still on the glide slope. And just keep a close eye on your speed, airspeed. You want to land this thing at around 104.
Wind 260 at 6.
It could be a little
Cleared to
windy.
land runway 25.
You can see we're being
Cleared to land
buffeted.
runway 25 King Air 107.
Okay, let's go back inside here. We're right on track. Everything looks good. Green glide slope. You can hear the beeping of the signal we're picking up. There's the plane right on target. So I'm just going to go up here and look out the window, the windshield here, and watch as we approach, make sure everything's okay. So you can see that's turned off. This is on. The approach is on. So you want the yaw damper on because it helps with, you know, controlling the plane, especially if it's windy and gusty and buffeting. So we are coming in, and we're around 1,400 feet now. Alright, just going to back off a bit so you can see the screens here. Everything's looking good. There's our speed. Make sure you keep an eye on that speed, like I said. Don't let it get below 100. or you'll start getting stall. So I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to let you look inside the plane and outside so you get an idea of how this autopilot's handling things. And that's why it's good to have, you know, your speeds here, your gauges set so they show up. You can do that in your settings. And that allows me to, you know, be outside and enjoy the scenery and still know that my speed's okay. So I'm just going to cut back the speed a little bit because that's a little too fast, like I told you. So I cut the throttle right back, totally. Now if you find you still can't get your speed down enough, you can lower some more flaps. But you're going to see the speed drop very quickly here. Yeah, it's looking good. So if we get down to 110, that's not bad for landing. Careful you don't get too slow. Okay. There we go. Just try and keep her on the center line. So your autopilot's off.
Turn next taxiway.
And we're going to bring up the flaps. And we have to go down to the end here. Somewhere down here to turn in. There's no exit here. So they want us off the runway as soon as possible. So this is a beautiful airport, and the cruise ships, like, not really the time of year maybe for them. I don't know. I don't see any out there.
King Air 107, turn next taxiway.
Okay, let's make sure we don't run off the runway. Gotta cut back here. So our cruise ship hasn't arrived yet. I'm not sure what time of year they leave from down here. You know, this is April, getting near the end of April 2023. Some of this stuff I have turned on. You can shut that off in settings if you don't like it. There's little markers, interest
King Air
points, etc.
107, turn next taxiway.
Okay, so I have the ribbon marker set in my settings, so it shows me where to go. So if you get into the larger airports like, you know, Gatwick or something, you wouldn't know where to go in the dark following around, and these things will sort of light up and guide you to where you have to go to the gate. So I'm just going to slow down here and turn using the brakes on my joystick. Okay, once you get off.
118.1 King Air 107.
Okay, I'm going to put the parking brake on. Control Delete on your keyboard. If you press them both at the same time, it'll put the parking brake on. So now I'm going to go to ATC. I'm just going to press a button on my joystick, and then I'm going to tune the ground, and I'm going to request taxi to the gate.
Ushuaia ground, King Air 107, request taxi to the gate. King Air 107 taxi to gate 1 using taxiway.
Okay, so see,
Taxi to gate 1 via taxiway,
they're
King
taking
Air
me to gate 1.
107.
Oh, okay. Sometimes the smaller planes, they just take you to parking. Okay, that's good. So now I got to release the parking brake. So I will go inside and release that. And we will start to roll. The reason I put the parking brake on is you don't really need to, but while I'm talking to you, if I'm not careful, the thing will start to roll. And then if I'm inside, I don't know where I'm going. From the exterior view, you can see quite nicely. We'll go over here. Oh, they're taking us right up to a gate. We will not be able to get a jetway connection with this plane or any other ground services other than maybe a fuel truck or something, but there's no catering for these smaller planes. And you can maybe get a power supply, I'm not sure. We'll take a look and see what we can get. So now I've got to go outside and have a look at what's going on here. Sometimes it's a little easier to see where you're going if you do the exterior view. Okay, so yeah, let's just try and get that a little bit closer. Oh, there's a person there guiding me. Okay, they're telling me to come in. So just be careful you don't run them over. Here we go. Stop. Okay, let's put on that parking brake right here. And let's turn off the warning so it doesn't drive us crazy. Okay, so here we are. Let's take a look outside. Okay, so let's see what we can get for ground services. Jetway connection won't work. We'll press power.
Ushuaia ground, King Air 107. Could you please send a ground power unit? King Air 107, a ground power unit is on the road.
So it looks like we can get ground power. That guy's probably going to back up, but I'll show you what happens if you try the
Ushuaia
jetway.
ground, King Air 107. Could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft? King Air 107, we can't connect the jetway to the aircraft. Please retry later.
Okay, let's go inside here and see here. Turn these things down, the props. Yeah. We're going to shut this thing down. I normally would do that before I got the power supply, but I just wanted you to see what would happen. Okay, so let's go here. And thank you very much for joining me on this flight. Much appreciated. I hope that you learned something about flying this plane and this beautiful destination at the end of the world, southernmost tip of South America in Argentina. And now we're going to turn off the avionics master, and that concludes our flight.